afternoon. Welcome to this podcast. I'm Paul Felstead. I'm in the faculty of the Finance and Econ Department of the Huntsman School of Business at Utah State. I'd like to welcome Arjun Satya, who is the manager of the Financial Reporting Group of Equity Methods in Scottsdale, Arizona, and a strong partner of the Huntsman School in recruiting. I'd like to welcome you, Arjun. Thank you for taking some time with us today.
Thank you, Paul. Happy to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Great. We'll just, if it's okay, we'll just dive right in. We'd love to get your career path, kind of how you ended up at Equity Methods. What is it about what Equity Methods does that interests you and keeps you engaged?
Yeah, I've got an undergrad in computer science background, actually. When I started my graduation, I never thought like I would end up in consulting or like even for that matter in the financial world. So I've taken my own deviations and turns in my career path. So my undergrad is in computer science. I worked in the IT field for a couple of years, but I didn't like the job because like I was more within the cubicle where my interactions was very limited. And then I said like, okay, I need to change my career field. And then I started to look for a master's program in finance. That's when I came here to US and did my MBA in finance in Arizona State University. So one of the things which I was always looking for, and the reason I changed my career from being in IT to something else, like to finance, is the aspect of me interacting with people and trying to understand the full impact of the work which I'm doing. So I didn't want it to be a part of a small part in a big company. I was looking for something wherein I can show my impact and understand I'm trying to solve an actual problems when I'm interacting with people. So that was the kind of goal I was looking for. And during one of my interactions, like during the networking session which I used to attend, I got in touch with one of my current colleague. He's in Equity Methods still. So I got in touch with him and I explained to him like what kind of career path I was looking for. And I explained to him my passion for problem solving, trying to understand the client problems and trying to see where we can add value, what kind of things which drives me at the end of the day. So basically the job which I got at Equity Methods wasn't like exactly I was looking for a job. It was more of I was interacting with a colleague, which like at that time he was working at Equity Methods. But when I was talking with him, I was explaining like the stuff which I like to do. And after a year or so, like at the time of graduation, that's when like Equity Methods was hiring. And then I applied and I got my interviews done and got hired. So the reason I wanted to give you the full story of that is because networking helps. Going and talking with people helps. Getting an idea, like sharing your thoughts and sharing like what kind of job you're looking for helps, because like you'll be able to understand and you'll be able to land up in a perfect job, a perfect company and the job you're looking for, as opposed to trying to see, hey, I've done with my graduations, let me start applying for different jobs out there.
Right. Thank you. Could you give the students, many of whom at Utah State may not be that familiar with consulting as a career path, could you kind of give just a broad view of what consulting is, and what are the types of people, like characteristics or personality traits that really kind of consulting attracts or looks for?
Yeah, so the usual career path is like when you start working in a consulting field, it's you start off as an associate, like wherein like you may work with a couple of clients as soon as you start, or you may be focused on just one client. It depends on like how big is the engagement and what kind of services you're providing. And then as you grow in your career, you may become like an associate to a senior associate, consultant, senior consultant, and a partner and a director. So that's the kind of a usual career track which you can see in a consulting firm. Even with Equity Methods, it's all the same. The kind of attributes which we usually look for, one is, as I said, the problem solving aspect is very important. The second thing is like they should be good to interact with people. They should understand like what the other side is looking for. And most of the time, it's not the client or anyone who is speaking to you would give you the problem they're trying to solve. They may not be fully aware of like what's the core issue, because the problem which they're trying to solve, it may not be within their team. It may be somewhere else. Like someone must have like assigned the job to them, so they're coming to us. So it's very important to interact with people and trying to understand, try to read between the lines what they're trying to do. And the third aspect I would say is very key is the ambiguity. The key challenge in consulting is like you don't have a clear instructions, or you don't have a clear framework wherein you can say, okay, I learned this in the last engagement, or I got this training on this kind of problem. Let me go and apply that. There's no cookie cutter solutions. The only thing you know is like based on your experience, based on working on multiple engagements, you may have seen a similar kind of problems or the flavors of it. But every time when you take up a new engagement, you are trying to solve a different side of the or different aspect of the problem, like trying to come up with an innovative solution. Sometimes it may be a time constraint, like you're trying to achieve, which usually takes 4 to 6 weeks within 2 weeks time frame. Sometimes like it's maybe just a 1 week time of work, but it's so complicated, like you need to do a lot more research before you go and apply something or provide a product to them. So I would say problem solving. The second thing is like you should be really good in dealing with the ambiguity. And the third thing is that how well you manage the people's relationships.
Great. Thank you very much. When you've been recruiting now, Equity Methods have been recruiting Utah State for about 4 years.
Yeah.
You've been involved like most of that time.
Mm-hmm.
Could you talk a little bit about like what is it about Utah State students that's different in terms of the universe of recruiting schools, right? That you recruit at, maybe like the positives as well as maybe like some of the things that students could work on in terms of making themselves more marketable.
Yeah, I think one thing is like Utah State students are as smart as any other top schools in the US. So with respect to the intelligence, with respect to the hardcore skill sets, I would say like Utah State students is well on par with any other schools which we go to. And the other thing which is very unique about Utah students is they're open to learn new things. They're keen to take up new things. They don't come up with a preconceived notion and they want to do the same thing after their graduation. They have a very broad overview of like what kind of job or what kind of work they like to do. So when we throw out new things at them, they'll be more willing to absorb them and work on it. So there's no sense of entitlement. They're ready to put in the effort to get the results. So that one aspect which I really appreciate about having
our students, Utah State students, could work on that they're not really up to par on compared to other schools that you look at, if there's anything you could think of.
The one aspect is I could think of is, so many times when I interact with students, I would encourage them to understand like what type of job they're applying for. Sometimes I've met students and I talk to them. I can see or sense that like they're very smart. They can solve the problems or they can really bring some value to the company. But I would say like they wouldn't have even shown some interest of like doing some research how their skill sets is going to bring value to the company. So if they can connect the dots and able to make a good story of like why they're a better fit for the company or for the job role, I think they'll be having much more success. And the other thing which I've seen is with respect to consulting, I would say Utah students have a little lesser of understanding like what the job is all about. Maybe like having some research on like what is the career path, like what they're looking for, would be definitely helpful. And
Okay.
uh, and let me be very frank with you, Paul. Like consulting is a very it's a high intensive job. So there's a lot more hours comparatively to any other industry, because when you're in a professional services kind of industry, you have to be working when the client is working. But at Equity Methods as a whole, we have a very flexible work policy. Like we don't have a strict saying that like you need to come at like at 8 o'clock and then leave at 5 or anything of that sort. It's like if you're a person who is able to look at the work and look at your own lifestyle and be personal lifestyle and everything, if you can work around it, it's totally fine. No one is going to say anything to you. So what at the end of the day, what matters is the results. Like if you're able to get the results or get the work done, no one is going to question you.
That's really helpful. Thank you very much, Arjun. We just really appreciate our professional relationship, institutional relationship that we have between Utah State and Equity Methods. Really thank you for your time today. And we look forward to having you on campus, as soon as all this social distancing clears up.
Yeah, I love to come there. Like, I think Holly keeps saying that like every time I come in, like I need to go and visit the park cities. So it's on my list. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I'll do that next time when I'm there.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Arjun.
Thanks, Paul.
Wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Perfect, guys. That was perfect.
Did it go well, John? I don't know how it went.
Yeah, I don't either.
I thought it was great. Thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate it. I'll take care of all the logistics by getting it posted. I think it's perfect.